Hello, everyone. I think slowly few people are joining. Here, Ashraf, you wanted to share anything before we start or ask question or anything, or anybody has any general question about bootcamp, I can answer that in the meantime. You can unmute yourself or raise hand. No question. Where is this? So since yesterday, I have attended a few of the bootcamp that was organized all over the world, and some of the questions and interaction was amazing. Even one of the group, they had entire theater book for this event. Like uh, I saw that video and I said, are they going to fill up that many? But he was telling there is going to be a very good participation. Uh, so I believe him, but it was entire theater.
Where was that again, Rick?
This was Lagos.
Oh, Nigeria.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to show. We have a few minutes,
Hmm.
so I'm going to show right now. And that is what they had. Entire.
I don't see your screen.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing. 1 second. Share this screen. And
Oh, cool.
so
Wow, that's awesome. Wow. Hmm, interesting.
And
Yeah.
likewise, there are some countries they are arranging meetup in person, like this Global Power Platform Bootcamp. And I saw some of the videos that they send it. It's
Hmm.
amazing, like overall participation wise and all. It's amazing.
Yeah. I hope we will start to gradually go back again to our normal life in
Well,
2022 in
well,
person.
I still remember the first one we had. It was
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, 250 attendees were there, and
Oh,
in-person event is a little bit different.
absolutely.
So I think we are at the top of the hour now. Are you ready, Ashraf? You can share your screen, please.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly at 10:30 we'll start. I'll introduce you, and then you can start.
Thanks, Vivek.
Because I know about you better than you, so that's why.
I think
Um,
so. Yeah, I believe so, actually.
Matthew, I'm going. Can you unmute yourself and ask
Yep.
question you have? Yeah.
Yeah, just are they looking at making it hybrid moving forward? Because
Mhm.
some of us may not be able to travel to the locations.
You're right. Actually, we have all the event. Means after this online meeting became more popular, we always had like when we were having in Microsoft Office, even our meetups,
Mhm.
we used to have a hybrid. So somebody in Sudbury, somebody who is away from here, they were joining virtually. So we always had a hybrid approach even before COVID.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but we force people from Toronto area to come in person because then there won't be any fun.
Agree.
So is that answer your question? Can I
Yes.
lower your hand?
Yep. Thank you.
Oh, okay,
Where are
perfect.
you based, Matthew, by the way?
Just outside of Vancouver.
Oh, okay, Vancouver.
Okay. And for everybody who is in this room and other room also, this we want to make it more live event. So if the speaker is presenting and you have a question, please raise your hand. And also, if I'm not responding, put it in chat window immediately. We will try to address. We don't want to make it like some event where it is constrained at
Yep.
the end for the question, and we want to make it more live. So, Ashraf, we already started. Recording is already started
Sounds good.
for everybody knowledge. So, let me introduce Ashraf. So, Ashraf and I goes back to maybe 6 years now, 5 to 6 years since we started the user group, and slowly we start like our participation in user group started increasing. We had a great speaker. Ashraf is very helpful in running that user group. We have now around over 2,000 members. They are actively participating. We were a little bit dormant for last 1 year, but now we are going to again revive. Ashraf has a passion for AI, so that is his topic. Since getting into Power BI, his lot of focus is on AI side and always eager to learn what is new, what is coming new, even before everybody else knows. So he used to present on one and one topic. He doesn't want to present on other topic. Is always the new features in Power BI, and he's so excited. You see that enthusiasm when he's presenting also. So Ashraf, I don't want to tell everything so that you are missed by yourself. So I'll give a floor to you, and please start your session.
Thank you. Thanks, Vivek, and thanks everyone for attending the session today about AI powered features in Power BI. So a little bit background about myself. I've been in this industry in strategic management and analytics consultancy for 20 plus years. And my educational background is computer engineering, and I also did my MBA in strategy management. I'm also certified in balance scorecard from the co-creator, Dr. Kaplan and Norton. I'm Lean Six Sigma Black Belt certified, and as well as certified in project management as a project management professional. As Vivek said, we co-lead the Power Platform user group community. We established that 6 years ago, as Vivek said, and the purpose for that is to build a community of practice, solid community of practice in Toronto, and where we share knowledge and experience and learn from each other. I'm also the leader of the Viz for Social Good, and it's a non-for-profit organization that helps the other non-for-profit organization as well to make good use of the data they have, and it's totally based on volunteers. So if you are passionate about data and data visualization in general, and you have some time to volunteer with us, please let me know. And from time to time, we run some projects to help those non-for-profit organizations and share the findings with us based on the outcome from our work with them. I'm also with Vivek as well, co-organizer of so many events that happened here in Toronto and globally as well. Things like Power BI World Tour event, and also some other Microsoft events like Microsoft Build, Azure Bootcamp, BI Bootcamp, etc. And because of all my community engagement, I was awarded 4 years ago the Microsoft MVP, which stands for Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. I'm so proud to be one of 12 MVPs based in Canada in data platform, and maybe 3 or 4 specialized in Power BI in particular. Again, Vivek is one of them for sure. I'm also proud to be a co-author of the first Power BI MVP book. It's written by 20 other MVPs from all over the world, and each MVP wrote a specific chapter in this book. So this book is structured in a very unique way, because each chapter is a complete topic, end-to-end standalone topic, and you don't have to read this book in any specific order. It depends on your interest in a specific chapter. And the chapter I wrote in this book was about AutoML capabilities inside Power BI. Also, the co-author of the first Microsoft AI MVP book. It's written by 17 MVPs, AI MVPs from all over the world. And also I co-authored this book with them, and the chapter I wrote in this book was AI and cognitive services capabilities inside Power BI. Those books are available in Amazon, so please feel free to check them out. They are good books, and also the revenue from those books, they go to the community as well, so we don't make any money out of those. It's totally written by the community leaders for the community at large. So the session agenda for today. Before we jump into those AI-powered features inside Power BI, I would like to share with you the evolution of analytics industry in general. And also we will talk about some self-service built-in, out-of-the-box self-service capabilities, AI-powered capabilities inside Power BI to help anyone to get the answers from the data as quickly as possible, and also the concept of democratizing insights for everyone in the organization. It's not limited to certain people who master the tools or master the technology or master or have control or access to the data. It's for everyone in the organizations. And I'll share with you a couple of examples in Power BI, and also we will have like a quick Q&A discussion at the end of the session today. So here is the spectrum and evolution of analytics in general. This picture here comes, or this graph here comes from Gartner. And for those of you who are not aware of Gartner, Gartner is very well-known research-based company. They do all their work based on research, and it's very respected in the industry, and their work is highly respected by everyone in the industry. So they do research, they come up with certain best practices, and also one of their interesting product is the evaluation of the vendors in the market as well. And if you are aware of that, they plot all the vendors or key players in the market in the 4 quadrants. And every year, we always cannot wait until we see their final ranking of all the vendors in the market. And Power BI was always like in the last maybe 6 or 7 years since it started, it's always in the top leader quadrant. So anyway, back to this spectrum here of the analytics. As you see here, as we are data professional people and visualization professionals, to read any chart, we need to go by x-axis and y-axis. And as you see here in the x-axis represent the difficulty and level of complexity in the organization, and y-axis here speaks about the value, the business value to the organization. So we'll start with the first layer of analytics, what we call it descriptive analytics. And descriptive analytics is all about answering key fundamental question, which is what happened in the past. In terms of numbers, in terms of the sales volume, in terms of the customer numbers, in terms of the market share, etc. So this very first layer of analytics in any organization, we really need to make sure that we secure this layer first to be able to answer those key fundamental questions. It's all about what or how many. Then once we secure this, what we call a descriptive analytics layer, we evolve to this next level of analytics, what we call a diagnostic analytics. Because the question now is changing from what happened, we know already what happened, now we need to dig deeper to understand exactly why did it happen. So we need the flexibility in the tool to allow us to pivot the data quickly, drill down the data, deep dive into the data, to be able to get to the nitty-gritty details of the data to be able to answer the second fundamental question is, why did it happen? That's what we call it diagnostic analytics. Then if we draw a line here, the first two layers of analytics, this is what classically used to be covered by the classical business intelligence. Then the third layer of analytics here, once you secure the first two, is to move forward to the predictive analytics. And predictive analytics is now moving from reflection on what happened in the past to actually use that to inform the future. So we are moving from reflection on what happened in the past to inform and predict the future. Now we are here in predictive analytics layer. We build models to predict what could happen in the future based on the historical data that we have in the organization. And now, as you see here, the question is changed now from what happened to why did it happen to what will happen in the future based on the historical data that we have in the organization. And this layer here is the starting point of the whole notion of data science now, because now to be able to predict the future and build the predictive models, you used to need a data scientist in your organization to be able to help you build the predictive model to inform the future and predict the future. Then analytics doesn't stop here, because it goes all the way along to what we call it prescriptive analytics. And prescriptive analytics now, the focus for us now is, okay, we know what happened, we know why did it happen, we know how what will happen in the future, maintaining the status quo. So now the focus for prescriptive analytics is to inform us what is the best course of action to be able to respond to the outcome from the predictive model. So the focus now is what needs to be done from a business perspective, because the predictive analytics can tell us, okay, you have either an opportunity or you could have a risk. Prescriptive analytics is all about how to translate that to a course of business action to be able to either seize this opportunity or to mitigate this risk. Not only that, because that can not very challenging task, but it's also about how to optimize that, because the seizing opportunity can involve some cost associated with that as well. So how to make sure that the cost of seizing the opportunity will never exceed the benefit of the opportunity itself. Or how to ensure also the cost of mitigating the risk will never exceed the cost of the risk itself. So we need to take that into consideration, also the cost benefit analysis of that, to be able to optimize the course of action or the business action that we need to take to be able to as I said, to seize an opportunity or mitigate a risk. So this is, as you see here, this is the complete spectrum of analytics in a typical organization. Again, moving from what happened in the past, descriptive analytics, to why did it happen, which is diagnostic analytics, what will happen in the future, predictive analytics, all the way along to how can we make it happen, either to influence actually the business to either seize the opportunity, as I said, or mitigate the risk, and in an optimized way. And as you see here, we are evolving from information all the way along to the optimization, and also moving from hindsight to insight to foresight. It's all about now translating the insight into a proper action in my organization. So the great news is Power BI is now evolving to cover the entire spectrum here, as you see, from end to end. And we will see in this session today how Power BI is helping us to tackle some of the interesting challenges in each one of those layers here in this spectrum of analytics here. So to be able to do that, Power BI started, or Power BI engineering team started to infuse some of the AI capabilities inside the tool itself. Some of the areas in AI may require some level of expertise that may require some coding inside Power BI in terms of the integration of Python and R. Some areas also can integrate with some AI cognitive services capabilities, but this will require premium license or premium per user license. But as I said, because AI is now everywhere and it's being leveraged and infused everywhere, Power BI as a product as well is being evolved, as well as any other product in the market, to infuse some of those AI capabilities and embed them already as a built-in out-of-the-box feature inside the tool itself. And this will be the focus for our session today. I'm not gonna talk about the O2ML capabilities. That's a separate topic by itself. I have a complete session about that. Maybe you can, maybe in the future, if you are interested, maybe you can consider that in the future. I also have another session about all about AI cognitive services capabilities inside Power BI and how to infuse that in Power BI. That's another separate topic by itself. But here the focus for us is those infused, built-in AI powered capabilities out of the box inside Power BI that is available for everyone and it's free for charge. The good news is those capabilities that will be covered in this session today are out of the box in the Power BI desktop version that everyone has in your computer right now. So you don't need to have any premium capacity in your organization or any special premium per user license to be able to leverage or access any of the features that I will cover in the session today. So let us tackle them one by one and see how Power BI is helpful in each one of those layers of analytics. So descriptive analytics challenges. Those are the typical challenges in any organization when it comes to descriptive analytics. End user, they have very high need and very rapid need for immediate results and quick results. And not every single person has the technical expertise to be able to get those quick responses right away. So that started to actually put some pressure on the IT team in a typical organization. Again, I'm talking about the classical scenario now. And the IT or the technical team, who are very expensive but very limited resources in an organization, are becoming a bottleneck to impede actually the responsiveness in the organization. So how Power BI now is helping us to eliminate this bottleneck and empowering everyone in the organization to be able to become more responsive and get access to the data and get access to their needs, information needs, as quickly as possible without creating any bottlenecks in the core technical team of experts and who are expensive as well in a typical organization. Also, the second challenge is it's impossible to anticipate everyone and every person questions and all kind of questions, because question can change over time. And no matter how comprehensive your reporting layer in your organization, it's so difficult to make or build all the reports that can answer all the existing questions and possibly the future questions as well. No way to be able to do that. No matter how much effort you put or how many resources you have, you will always have new questions that no one ever asked before. And also, the way that everyone is asking their question is different. They could mean the same thing, but the way they articulate their question could be completely different from each other. So it's so difficult also to respond to that as well, because the question can come in different shapes and forms. So the first demo that we will have in Power BI is about one, it's a very good and powerful capabilities. It's called the Q&A inside Power BI. So how Power BI is helping us to respond to that. I'm going to share my Power BI now. So have a very simple, let me walk you through the data, very simple data set about sales transaction here. I have the multiple columns like sales order, country, order date, style of the product, certain attributes about the product, manufacturer, brand name, some colors, class of the product, stock type, etc. So one of the good features, as I just said, it's called the Q&A, that empowers actually an average business user in the organization to interact and get what they need from the organization without relying on someone who's very well trained in Power BI, etc., to actually build a report that can be a little bit time consuming for the business person or the executive in the organization to get a quick answer for their basic questions. So we have now a natural language processing capabilities embedded already and infused in Power BI to allow that to happen without the reliance on the technical team at all to answer those basic fundamental questions. This feature is called the Q&A, and it can be accessible in the desktop version that you see here. And also when you publish your report to the web service and create a dashboard on the top of your visualization, the same exact feature is also available for the executive person who is consuming the report, to allow them to also ask the data questions in their own plain English language. Then it will be translated to get the data that you want. So how to access this feature? Two ways, either to get it from the menu here or just double click on the white area here. So what will happen once I double click in the white area in the canvas here, I'll start to see some suggested questions for me. Top countries by count. What is the count by country? What is the count by category? And what is count by stock type? So those are suggested questions. However, I can expand that to see some other questions as well. Does it mean that it's limited to those out of the box suggested question? No, because I can actually start typing my own question as well. So let us say I need, just want to confirm that, yeah. We can say, what is the total sales? As you see here, as I start to type, it gives me some suggestions as well. Sales amount. There is a telesense feature that starts actually to interact and build a query behind the scene and interact with the data source and interact with the data model and get me the answer that I'm interested in. I just put the total sales here, and I started to see the total sales already populated for me in a card chart. But I can also identify exactly how I need to visualize this data and break it down even further. So I can say by category as pie. Even it's suggested now. As you know, for those of you who are new to Power BI, there are. It just suggested that you use the clustered bar chart for that purpose. But I can also have control over that as well. So I can say, okay, as pie chart, for example. See, as I type, it keeps actually updating on the fly the outcome of my visualization. So that can be something very, very interesting to actually quickly populate actually my chart and get the data in a way or shape or form that I am interested in as an executive in my organization. So once I'm happy with that, see this one, and it's now it's turning is not a Q&A, because I can keep changing my question several times until and play with the data and explore and navigate and do my data discovery. Once I'm happy and comfortable with this, I can now click on that button here to turn it to a chart already. So similar to any other chart, I populated myself using all the step-by-step sequence to be able to populate this chart. And now I can control it the way I want, so I can actually take it to the formatting and play with the formatting here to adjust the formatting, colors, etc. All those kind of formatting control. That's it. So I can put that aside and this can start a new one. Let us say I can, okay, what sales? And I can put that as I can put that as well. I can have another chart. And okay, how about this one? Let us take it to the next level here and see how this will handle the situation here. Total, what is the total sales amount by region? So what you noticed here now, it's putting two the red lines below the word region here. Why is that? Because the word region was not identified in the data model. So Power BI is telling me what is region for you? Like, what do you mean by region here? Because I don't have anything here in my data model to define for me what do you mean by region. So one of the interesting feature that we have is now we can actually build our own glossary inside our Power BI data model itself. So now we can highlight the word region, and it's suggesting me now, please define what do you mean by region for me. So if I click on that, it will identify, highlight the word region for me, and it's giving me a field now to define what I mean by region here. So I can say, okay, region, from now on, please treat region as country. So this is another synonym for the word country. So once I define that, it's building the glossary inside my Power BI data model. And anyone in the future, if I publish this report and do the proper deployment lifecycle for this model, anyone from now on, when they refer the word region or country, both of them will get me the exact information that I am interested in. So I can say, okay, region refers to country. I want to save that. So it's refreshing now, and it's telling me, yes, the region now was able to understand that and get me exactly what I want here. So I define now in my model actually the definition of the region, which never existed before, and build the association between the word region and the country, and now I can use that from now on. So let's start to see that again. Sales amount by region. So it was able to understand that. How to access actually all my definitions here? I can go to this setup icon here, and I can see all the terms that was defined in my data model, and I can delete or adjust or modify any of those features. Oh, sorry, any of those terms definition in my data model. So that's pretty much it about, yeah, we can talk more and more about interesting options in the Q&A, but this is just to give you a hint for those of you who are new to the whole notion of Q&A and natural language processing capabilities inside Power BI. I see someone is raising their hand, and I'm sorry if I'm not monitoring the chat, so if you have any question.
I was waiting for you to finish this topic.
Yeah, sure.
You can unmute.
Yeah. Just a question about the that region thing. Can you define a region being a couple of different countries? Can you like?
I think you can. You can define even condition. Let
Okay.
us. Yeah,
Okay.
I think you can. You can even define condition. Like for example, you can define the word 80%. Sorry, not to say. Okay, high customer versus low customers, for example, and then you can define a condition for that and say, okay, when I say high revenue customer is any customer who is generating revenue above this certain threshold, please define that as high revenue customer. Anything below this threshold, you can define that as a low revenue customer. So you can put some definitions and conditions as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I don't want to spend the whole time here to talk about just one feature, which is Q&A, because we can spend so many times actually talking about all the nitty-gritty details of just one feature, which is Q&A. Okay, so back to our presentation. Now we are moving now from the first challenge in descriptive analytics. Now we are moving to the second challenge, which is diagnostic analytics, and how Power BI and AI built-in infused power capabilities can help us tackle the challenges when it comes to diagnostic analytics. So what are those typical challenges when it comes to diagnostic analytics? Typically, end user have many different types of why questions, and also getting answers require time and investigation, because that's now we are evolving our questions from what, because that can be straightforward, what, how many, those are easy to answer questions, why it's more of like take it to the next level. It's deep diving now into the data to do diagnostic, actually, to be able to narrow down exactly what could be the possible causes of certain behavior in my data. So I'm moving now from the straightforward what, how many, to why. And that can be a little bit challenging for a typical or an average person in the organization. So there are good and very interesting built-in out-of-the-box two features inside Power BI that can help us in tackling the diagnostic analytics challenges as we will see right now. The first one is explain increase and decrease, and the second one is the different distribution. So let us see how Power BI can help us with those two challenges. Let's say I need to visualize here my sales amount and break down my sales amount by date. Okay. Now I have a business question from one of the executives in the organization asking me, can you tell me exactly what was the key driver or the possible or potential drivers for the sales increase between 2012 and 2013, or between 2013 and 2014? What could be the best possible drivers for that? So that can be a tricky question, especially if I have very complex model, because the question can here expand to, okay, to answer this question, how can I answer this question first, actually? What is the driver? Is it a specific product brand or specific product category or a specific class or a specific color or a specific country? Like where? What is the main driver for this increase that happened between 20, let us stick to 2012 and 2013 now? Or any of the attributes or the data elements that I have here in my data model. So that can be very, in the classical way to answer this question, that can be very, very time consuming and can be very repetitive exercise as well, because you need to actually analyze and break down the data by every single value in each one of those attributes that can be, or can be, the increase can be attributed to this specific driver. So Power BI now is infusing this capability into the built-in visualization and allow us to do this exercise or be able to answer this or potentially answer this question quickly now. What you really need to do is to go to the year where we notice the increase. So let us say that I'm observing now or analyzing now what could be the increase or possible driver for the increase between 2012 and 2013. So if I go just click here, just to 2013, and in the analyze here, if I right click analyze, I have one of the options here. It tells me explain the increase. That's interesting. So if I click on that, so Power BI behind the scene is going through every single element or attribute or value on my model and to try actually to see how much the magnitude of each one of those values inside each one of those columns and how that contributed actually to increase that happened between 2012 and 2013. So let us take this as an example here. This is the total bar for 2012 and this is the total bar for 2013. And as you see here, I have the breakdown by all the values that I have in the country field. So it's obvious that United States was the key driver when it comes to the countries for the increase between 2012 and 2013. So if that makes sense to me, I can click here and add this visualization now, because now I'm building a report to help answer the executive question about what could be the driver, the main driver for the increase between 2012 and 2013. But it doesn't stop here, because I can keep scrolling and actually understand or get more insights about every single value in every single column as well, because the other values could be a contributor actually to the increase as well. So when it comes to the product category, computer was identified as the highest category for the increase that happened between 2012 and 2013. That can be a good explanation as well. So I'm interested in that. So I can keep that as well. and so on. So as you see here, when it comes to what is that product description, again, description, I would skip that because the description is just a description. So we can go for something like product name, for example. So no single product was identified as a significant driver for the increase, no single one. So all the product collectively were attributed for the increase, which is 5.3 millions. However, after all the other product, I started to, see some less significant categories of the product that can be also interesting to see as one single product who contributed to the increase between 2012 and 2013. So for example, this product in particular was identified the most statistic significant number for the increase that happened between those 2 years. It's 0.3 million, which is very significant compared to every other product individually. So that was ranked as number one for me. Then followed by this product, then followed by this product, then followed by this product. Then the statistical significance threshold was identified here because it combined all the other products under one category here, which called others. I don't have this category in my data model. I don't have any field to say combine those products and put them under a category called other. That was already identified for me based on the AI capabilities infused already in Power BI to say, okay, this is the cutoff. Those are the top significant 4 products. Every other product we can combine them in just one category called others because they are not individually significant. So if I keep scrolling again, I keep scrolling across all those attributes, and yeah, this one can be interesting as well because medium is already one of the key drivers for the increase and so on. So by doing that, as you see here, out of the box, I can run this option or feature inside Power BI and build a nice dashboard to allow me exactly what could be the potential drivers for the increase between 2012 and 2013. This feature also is very smart because it's not just about increase. Because for example, let us say that the exercise is different. I need actually to answer the question, what could be the reason for the decrease that happened between 2014 and 2015? So the question is different now because we have decrease. So if I just go and use the same feature, go to the analyze now, it's switched now to explain the decrease because the sales volume now or sales amount was decreased between 2014 and 2015. So if I click here, it will be the other way around. 2014 is higher, 2015 is lower, and I will do the same exercise and go through every single value in every single column to help me exactly explain the increase or decrease that happened between 2014 and 2015. And we can do the same exact exercise again. So any questions here about this built-in feature? Because this is very powerful in my opinion, and it could be very time consuming without this feature to go through every single column and to try exactly to compare those two years together to be able to say, okay, those are the potential attributes in my data model that can explain what happened between the sales volume in 2 years. Okay, if no questions, we can move forward. The second interesting feature as well is different distribution. And I will have to be quick here because I'm mindful of the time now. So sales amount, let us say sales amount, same exercise. And now we have the sales order. So this is the total sales of my organization, and this is the pattern that happened across so many years and in the history of my sales in my organization. I started low here, 2011, 2012, 2013 started to go up, and 2014 and 2015. If I need to see also the seasonality within the year itself, let us say, okay, I need to see the seasonality without taking a year into consideration. I'm interested actually to see the seasonality of my sales within the year itself, combining all the sales volume from all the years together and see now. I started to see a pattern here in my data. So I started like at the middle Then it started to go slow during the first quarter and the second quarter maybe, and they started to go up again toward the end of the year and the third quarter and the end of the year. So if my data is perfectly harmonized across all my attributes in my data model, ideally, like I'm talking ideally now, if it is perfectly harmonized, we should expect the same pattern in every single category, in every single country, in every single product, and so on. But the reality, of course, is not like that, because now the question is, does everything in my data or all the attributes in my data follow the same exact pattern? If I break down my data for country or for category or for segment or for every single product, does it follow the same pattern, or it doesn't follow the same exact pattern? So we can have some products or categories or countries, they behave differently from the overall pattern when it comes to the seasonality within my organization. Also, that can be interesting exercise to do, but it can be very time consuming without this built-in feature inside Power BI. So all what I really need to do now is to go now to right click, analyze, and ask here, or one of the options here, find where the distribution is different. So when I click on that, again, it's doing its magic behind the scene and trying actually to see whether each one of the values here in every single column and my attributes and my data model is following more or less the same pattern or have outliers when it comes to the pattern. I'm talking about the pattern now, outlier from the perspectives of the pattern. So here is going again through all the attributes and try to identify whether those attributes are more or less following the same pattern or we have certain outliers in certain areas. And it could be interesting too, because also we can switch back and forth and see certain items inside each one of those values. So as you see here, this is slightly higher, relatively higher when it comes to January, but it more or less is aligned with the overall pattern here. Yeah, for example, here and when it comes to the color, for example, the overall pattern is the gray area, and the actual bar is the actual value for the white, for example. So white was relatively less than what was expected when it comes to November. So that can be interesting to deep dive into the white product. Assume that this is within the scope of my analysis to see exactly why white in November dropped compared to October or and December, because the expectation for this product to be at the same level when it comes to November and December. So now I can dig deeper into certain areas or element in my data to be able to identify what could be the possible cause for the white product to be lower when it comes to November compared to this and October and December, and so on. So this, again, as you see, again, this is an overall pattern, and those are the differences when it comes to certain values within the color code, and so on. So I can keep doing that, keep adding that if I am interested now to see, okay, that can be something interesting to explore. So I can, similar to what we did for explain increase and decrease, I can add that to my page, and for further investigation to dig deeper here. October, when it comes to deep blue, which is the product color, and also here that's higher, which is good anyway. So I'm just giving you some quick examples for explain increase and decrease and how you use it to analyze and be able to answer answer the why question or doing some diagnostic analytics into your organization. So also, yeah, applying some advanced machine learning and data science concept in your organization can be a challenge as well, because first of all, it's complex to do, and also it's not easy to communicate the result to the business executive in your organization. So as you see here, the result, as you see, that can be a result of some statistical work, and is not easy to communicate that to the certain executive in your organization. Like you cannot talk to an executive in terms of the p-value and the intercept and uh, and percentile or whatever. Like there can be so many technical terms that is the average executive person in the organization is not comfortable and easy to understand that and translate and coefficient correlation or intercept or things like that. So how to actually move away from the complexity of that and use some of the infused AI capabilities inside Power BI to do this analysis quickly, and also streamline the communication process with the executive in the organization and help them to take or translate that to a quick business action in my organization. So 3 features here. I will go through them quickly because I believe we have just 15 minutes. Decomposition tree, key influencer, and anomaly detection. So decomposition tree, let us say, okay, I need to analyze my sales considering all the contributing factors in my sales into one graph. Because remember when we said that explain and increase and decrease, we took every single value here in isolation from the other one, right? But what if I need to combine that in just one big picture and see what are those contributing factors to my sales into one big chart or visualization to combine all those together and put them in the right sequence and right hierarchy to see which one is contributing to the sales most, followed by what, and so on. So again, same concept here. I can go here, total sales, then switch that to decomposition tree. Then I'll start, okay, what could be the possible drivers for my sales amount here? How to break down the sales driver. So I can start putting all my values here or the attributes that can be driving my sales factors in a random order. So I don't really need to worry about any order here because Power BI will be doing the magic for me. Is it a color, brand, name? What else could be interesting here? Stock type. Time name, etc. So let's say that this is the exercise. Then I need to put them in the right order now. Which one among all those sub values in each one of those attributes can be the most interesting one or the biggest chunk of the total sales of, amount comes from this? To be able to answer this in a classical way, I have to go through every one of those and break down the data by all the values in the class, all the values in the color, etc. And even if I do this exercise, they will be disconnected from each other. But now the decomposition tree is allowing me to put all those in just one picture here. All I need to click on this plus sign here. If I'm certain and I need to put them in the order that I believe is makes sense to me based on certain context in my organization, I can do that. But I can also rely on Power BI to put them in the right sequence for me. So in my case, I need to drive them by the highest value. And what could be the highest value when it comes to total sales here? So Power BI picked the class for me. Why class? Because among all the other values and all the other attributes, the biggest chunk that can be allocated to one value only is the class attributes, and the regular has $22 million associated with just one class only. When it comes to countries, for example, if I go with the biggest country, the United States, it doesn't have the same amount of number. So the biggest chunk, if I divide all my values or break down all my values for all those attributes, the biggest chunk comes from the class, which is regular. I don't have any other thing or any other one value across all the attributes that can beat that number. That's why class was identified for me as #1 driver for that. Then followed by what? So again, I can rely on Power BI to identify that for me. And the second biggest attribute for that is the stock type. And out of those 22, 13, they can be attributed to just one value when it comes to the stock type. And I keep doing this until I cover all the possible. And United States here is 7 million out of the 13 million out of those 22 million. And the good thing is you can switch now and see, okay, what key be the driver, because even the order, if you notice the order, can vary from a category to another. So stock type higher than the country, but when it comes to deluxe, this country is higher than the category, and so on. And you can use that in your visualization as a filter as well. But again, the time is not helping me here, so I'll move forward to the second exercise, if that's okay with everyone. So the second demo here is the key influencer. So I'll go quickly now and see, okay, what, let us say that I have one of my data elements that I have is the satisfaction score on my data. Let's see, where is this satisfaction score? So satisfaction score here is either low or high based on the transaction. So let's assume that we had a system in place to capture the satisfaction score associated with each one of those sales transactions. And my analysis now is to identify what could be the driver for the low score or high score when it comes to satisfaction. So I'll use that as a main driver for my exercise and switch that to key influencer. Then similar to the decomposition tree, I'll start to put all the possible potential drivers for the satisfaction score to be either high or low. Is it a particular brand name or particular category or particular class or particular color or country and so on. So as I started to actually put my attributes, so Power BI is doing the machine learning regression model behind the scene to identify exactly what could be the possible driver for the customer satisfaction score to be either high or low. So I have control over that. So I'm not interested in the high. Let us investigate why we have low score. What could be the possible reason for having a low score in my data set? And as you see here, it's going through every one of those attributes that I already fed the decomposition, the key influencer with, to be able to identify each one and each one of those attributes and the value in each one of those attributes and how this statistically significant impacting actually the score to be low or high. So when it comes to the first driver here for that is category is computers. So obviously that was the ranked as the highest level, and that can be a point for us to investigate further and understand exactly what is going on here when it comes to the computer as a product category. Then followed by brand name as Northwind Traders. That was identified as the second highest driver for the customer satisfaction to be low, and so on. So they are put in the rank, and the weight for each one is associated with that. So you can actually make the informed decision where you need to focus and where you need to investigate further to identify what could be the possible reasons for driving the low satisfaction score in my sales transaction here. Yep. Sorry, I'm running fast now. I know those features. Each one of those features can have one session in its own. By the way.
Ashraf, you have 8 minutes left.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Vivek. Last or not the last, the one before the last one is the anomaly detection. So again, quickly, I will show you what we mean by anomaly detection here. Sales amount. Let us say that, okay, I have my sales amount. Let us say I need to see that over time. And I switch that now to continuous date. And this is my sales pattern over the whole period here. All the dates, every single line here is representing one sales date. Or by day, actually, like every single day here we have data associated with that. So the purpose of anomaly detection, which is one of the interesting feature as well, it used to take like data science so much work and level of complexity to help me identify exactly what could be considered as an outlier value when knowing what we know about our overall patterns based on the historical data here. Which one of those values can be considered as anomaly, and it can be interesting for us to investigate further. So now out of the box here, and the analytics pane and the visualization pane here, or analytics tab, is as you see here. I believe. Let's make sure that this is x-axis is continuous. It's continuous, and this is line chart. Oh, yeah, we need to switch that to line chart. So yeah, make sure that's the line chart and the data is continuous. Now you will be able to see anomaly, find anomaly. Once you turn that on, you see, based on the understanding of the historical pattern of my data, those areas were identified for me as anomaly because it seems that there were unusual behavior that happened in those days that could be driver for some spikes in my data here. So I can control the level of sensitivity in my data, decrease or increase that. And also I can change the color of my anomaly, so we can have some formatting control here, and we can put range, etc. So if I click on any of those spots here, it will take me to more deep dive into some of those the patterns here, and give me some potential explanation, possible explanation about the cause for this potential, for this spike in my data. Again, considering the overall pattern of my historical data. So this year, this day in particular, compared to the same day on all the other years, previous years, it seems that, and considering also the growth that was happening from year to another, it seems that it's still an outlier when it comes to the overall pattern of my data. Why? Because some potential drivers for my value. So let us say that, okay, sales amount for color white was unusually high, which may have lifted the sales amount total. So that can be a possible explanation for that. And that was identified as the main driver for the spike that happened on this particular day. And the weight here is identified, or the strength here was identified as 79%, which is relatively high, followed by country Canada. So Canada in this particular day, let us explain or expand that. Canada in this particular day, sales amount for country Canada was unusually high, which may have lifted the sales amount totally. So maybe you need to investigate further what happened in Canada sales in this particular day. Is it something related to my news, for example, or my social media or whatever? So anyway, I'm again, sorry, last 3 minutes. So now, once I have built all my visualization here, let us say, okay, I have interesting chart here that have multiple visuals, and now I need to communicate my findings here to an executive in my organization, and the communication is key, as you know. So maybe you can take this as well. I'm trying to build something now out of the work that we did here, and yeah, let us say that I need to communicate this. I know it looks ugly, but let's say that we need to communicate that. So I need to communicate that in a dynamic way to my executive and my organization, so I just add, oh, because it's not interesting. I know it's not interesting finding. But let us take you to this one here. Okay. So I need to communicate that to my executive and my organization based on the chart I created here, or the dashboard or the report that I created here. So all I need to do is to go here for a smart narrative, and smart narrative is going through all my visualization and my page and try to make sense of all the findings, and this, summarize all my findings in a very plain narrative way, and explain that, so the executive doesn't have to go through every single chart and to try to get the interesting outcome of this single charts, because now they can just go here by the explanation here and they can get more insights about the overall summary of my chart. And this is the interesting part here. This is also dynamic, and it can be interactive as well based on my selection. So as you see here, the narrative will change based on the context of my visualization, just as you see here. Just giving it a chance. It's still spinning here. Someone, yeah, see? Even the context will change, the order will change based on my selection, and it will give me a dynamic way to actually summarize my data based on the context I'm choosing here. Sorry if I run out of my time. I was hoping actually to spend more time to explain that, but thanks everyone, and I hope you enjoyed those features. And if you have any last quick question, I can answer that quickly, or any feedback or any comment, feedback, or question. Okay, thanks everyone, and over to you, Vivek, for our next speaker. Thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Ashraf. Very insightful session, AI infused. So thank you so much. Ashraf will be available in this room. So if you have a question, you can put it in chat window. He'll try to respond. You can reach out to him also directly. So thank you again, Ashraf.